Hey guys, it's Peter Jordan, Lost Angler, and today we're going to talk about what's in my fly bag. The reason we're going to bring this up is, I feel like seems like a good time to talk about anything right now because we're all kind of stuck in our houses, kind of waiting to go do stuff. But one thing it has led to this weekend for me was kind of examining what I actually keep in my fly pack. Why do I keep it there, and the whole nine yards. So we're going to look at that real quick. And maybe it'll give you some good ideas for what to keep in your fly pack. So, I like a sling pack. Okay, I've had hip packs over the years. Hip packs are great. If it gets really, really hot and I need 2 water bottles, then I prefer a hip pack. But in general, sling pack. I've got the Orvis Safe Passage sling pack. There's plenty of great ones on the market. Find the one that works for you. This is what I have. So let's look what's on the inside. So starting out just from the outside, I have a big pair of forceps. Down here, if I'm fishing saltwater, plenty of fish have teeth. And of course, you never know when you're going to get into gar or whatever else. So forceps are pretty nice. I like the long ones because if a fish does take a fly deep, I can get to it. So always crimp my barbs, and this thing does a great job. This is a Calcutta brand. I got it at West Marine, but any brand of forceps is fine. Next, on the outside, I have my little light. I like my little light. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's not super bright little guy, but the reason I like him is because when it's getting evening and I don't want to pull on my headlamp, and I just want to tie real quick, tie up a fly or whatever, tie on a fly, bam, there it is. On the outside, I generally keep some cone heads. Currently, I'm really liking these big tungsten cone heads. I've used brass, I've used all different kinds, but I really like the tungsten. And what I do is, if I'm fishing a pattern that I want to get down deeper, I use these guys. They're not terribly big. They're pretty small in general, but boy, they get a fly down quick. So if I'm fishing off of point, structure, or I just need to get it down, it's the way to go. Like I said, I generally keep 2 or 3 different sizes. Now, once we get into the fly bag here, this is where my smaller flies live at right here. So my smaller flies are for me small, not small for other folks, but down here pretty much all we do is bass fish, redfish, speckled trout. And I like to do some brim bugs. And for me, a brim bug are these Chernobyl ants. Small stealth bombers. I even keep a random dry fly in there just because you never know. Bead chain clousers. Little small guys. But I also keep my bigger clousers too. Like, for example, this guy is in good color right here. This is kind of that bluegill perch sort of deal. You guys can see that. There we go. Get him in there? Can focus? Close enough. Anyway. And then I keep it in some shad colors, mullet colors, kind of all that kind of stuff. Now these are my smaller flies. These get used a lot if I'm wading a creek or underneath the dock lights. So like this guy right here gets used a lot for speckled trout. Underneath the dock lights does a great job. So clouser minnows, things essentially that are not weedless. Probably my favorite topwater fly though, it's about the only one I use just about, so, is Ken Edmonds Stealth Bomber. This is actually kind of change up. I don't tie it exactly like Kent does. There's an old video on YouTube from me tying it years and years ago. I need to redo it because quality's not that great. So we'll revisit that fly later. So, bam, Stealth Bomber, love them. Now going on into the fly bag, getting past the getting past the fly box. I keep my tippet spools. I keep them on the inside. I know a lot of people keep their tippet rings on the outside. I don't. Probably if I had more, I would. Also, too, these aren't like not like legitimate tippet. What I do is I get these crappy things right here. This is a South Bend monofilament. It's like $50. Seems like they're very inexpensive. What I do is I put like fluorocarbon or mono of a different brand that I really like, because I'm not super fond of going and paying that much for a tippet spool. I just physically unable to do it. It hurts. So, and the thing about it is I can get $7-8, pay for, gosh, I don't know, 300-yard spool for less than what I'm paying for a 100-yard tippet spool. So, I'm just bass fishing, guys. So I'm bass fishing, redfish, speckled trout. They're not that picky, and neither am I. All right, now moving on in. Now, obviously, this is where the water bottle goes. What do I keep on the inside? In here is generally my big streamer box. Not a huge surprise for anybody. I like my EP Game Changers. These aren't super huge flies. This is a really great pond pattern, but I also keep, my bigger streamers just in case. And your smaller EP patterns too. But then again, these are the ones that I tie to be weedless, so I really want to keep them, where they're not going to get banged up. So crawfish imitations. Got to get down there to them sometimes. So that kind of stuff. These are generally going to be the weedless patterns, the patterns that got just more bulk, bigger size, all that kind of stuff. But I'd say the defining factor is weedless. So that is that. So that's kind of fly selection. If you notice, it's not a huge fly selection. I don't have tons and tons of different patterns. Reason being, I don't know. I grew up bass fishing tournament style, and doing that, you need a jig, you need a spinnerbait, you need a crankbait, and you just need to fish them religiously. You just have to pound the water, cover water, have your confidence baits, and that's how you win tournaments. Or at least that's what I was always taught, and I guess I stay with that. Although there's nothing wrong with having a plethora of different flies. In general, I will always have 3 of the same pattern. Why 3? Because that's just me. That's just what works for me. So, moving on. Next up, carabiner clip. Never know when I'm going to need it. It's come in handy numerous times. Paracord. Never know when you're going to need it. Headlamp. Always great coming in the evenings. Small pruning shear. Yeah, I'm the kind of guy that if there's something behind me, I will clip it. Or in the way of my cast or whatever, I will clip it. I am that guy. But then again, I'm not worried about super sensitive trout habitat or whatever. So if I'm going to fish it a lot, I want to get a cast underneath there, and I keep hanging up, there's a shot that's going to get cut. Just throwing that out there. All right, next. All right, the most essential thing in the fly pack, probably even more important than the flies, toilet paper. Never more important than these current days we live in. But anyway, point being, having a good little thing of toilet paper is the way to go. Is this the biodegradable kind? No, it's just a piece of a roll from the house. Probably need to get some. This is kind of my rod fixing kit. This is super glue. I've got a couple spare eyes in here, some spool of thread. On the back side, I've also got some lens wipes in here. So kind of keep the glasses clean and do all that kind of stuff. And then finally, 2 last things. nail knot tool in case the loop of my fly line breaks, and my limb line set. Now, a lot of you guys are like, what's a limb line set? I grew up doing this. This is something that I still enjoy doing. Let's say I'm fishing a creek or a small river down here, and I catch some tiny little not pan size, but tiny little panfish, about like that. They will go on a hook. They will get dropped on a limb line, and hopefully, old Mr. Catfish will come by and eat it, and then I will take that said catfish home. I don't eat bass. I'm not particularly fond of them. I know a lot of people like to eat them. I don't like to eat them, but if I can pick up, a few bonus fish at the end, I enjoy that. So that's me. That goes back to my redneck heritage. Do not crimp the barbs on these. I don't anyway. But that's it. That is my fly pack. That is what I take with me. Boxes will change. If this is all salt water, then these flies will change. I have a bunch of these. Now, to the boxes. This is from Hobby Lobby. It is actually made by Plano, which is really cool. So it's the same as a Plano box, Plano Molding Company. But I am not having to go to an outdoor store and pay tons of money for these things. Really nice and cheap. Any foam box will do. I've been a Cliffs guy for a long time. Years and years and years and years and years and years and years ago, probably about 12 years ago, Cliffs got me a Pro Staff thing because they took mercy on me. And when I was young and starving, they let me buy some fly boxes at cost. That was many, many moons ago. And I still keep them. And I'm a huge believer in Cliffs, Cliff fly boxes. So that's it, guys. That is what is in my fly pack. That is what I take with me. And I think the less you take, the better off you are. Occasionally, I will take a landing net with me. And when I do, it just clips right here. Easy as pie. But yeah, that's it, guys. So I hope this was helpful to you. Hope it gave you some ideas on what you might want to take for yourself. This doesn't really go into account of what fly selection you might want. This is mostly just the essentials. So for me, my essentials: toilet paper. The limb line thing is totally optional. Actually, if you're a good catcher and release guy, don't do it. Pruning clips, pruning snips. Also, maybe not for everybody. Carabiner clip. You will be shocked on how often you will use this, especially for that net like we talked about. So I really like this for that. And that's about it, guys. And then having this little guy, this is really helpful. Having the super glue and the thread and all that can 100% save a fishing trip. So I hope these were some good suggestions. I hope they're helpful to you, and we'll see you on the water. Almost forgot. Sorry about that. I keep 3 or 4 pre-made leaders. So for me, my leader setup, and I've got a video online, is for me 35, 25, 15, 10, and I end my leaders at 10. And then I have a spool of 6 if I need to go further down than that. But 35, 25, 15, and 10. The 15 and 10 are fluorocarbon. The 35 and 25 are mono. And that's the way I like to do it, man. But these little guys, these are great. Sometimes you get to that point where it's just easier just to throw a new one on there. Or maybe you've got some wind knots, or maybe you just had a rough day. These are good to go. And sometimes you just get down the river and you realize your leader's shot. So, bam. That's my suggestion. Oh, and finally, this was orange many moons ago. I keep a little tape measure with me so I can be sure of the size of the fish. So that way, if there's anything worth seeing, take a measurement on it, good to go. These roll up. You can get them at the, I got this at Hobby Lobby when I got that Plano box. So, like I said, nice little things, easy to do. This is what's in my fly pack. I hope it gave you good ideas. We'll see you on the water. This time I'm serious.